Welcome to Pizza Quest. I'm Peter Reinhardt. I'm excited to welcome back one of our favorite guests and our pizza man on the street, Scott Weiner. For those of you who are new to Pizza Quest, Scott is the founder of Scott's Pizza Tours in New York City, a master of ceremonies and competition judge at Pizza Expo and other national and international gatherings, a teacher at Pizza University, host of television shows like Is It Dough, the co-founder of the charitable project Slice Out Hunger, and the Guinness World Record holder of the largest collection of pizza boxes in the world. In addition to all that, Scott is on a relentless quest for great pizza wherever he finds it, and is the ultimate brand ambassador and champion of pizza as the most beloved of all foods. He finds and celebrates new places on our behalf and knows more players throughout the pizza world than anyone I know. So, in other words, when it comes to pizza freaks, Scott is living the pizza life we all wish we could live. I'm so excited to welcome you back to Pizza Quest, Scott Weiner.
What a delight, Peter. And so funny to hear this intro from you, as though you're one of the people who are responsible for starting in this quest way back when. I'm never the first person I ever emailed, the first pizza person I read.
Oh, we go back a long way.
And yeah, so always great to talk to you, Peter.
And fortunately we've been able to connected throughout the years, and you've on Pizza Quest many times talking about things and keeping us up to date. So let me start by asking you this. I've known you for about 20 years now, and as you've pursued your own relentless passion for pizza and you've accomplished so much, does it ever get old? Do you ever just burn out on pizza? Or how do you keep the fire burning?
Wow. No, the answer is no. I was so afraid of reaching burnout that I gave myself years ago, probably 2008 or 9, I gave myself a limit for how many slices of pizza I'd allow myself to eat every week. So I capped it at 15, thinking that, well, 16 slices, that's 2 whole pies. I can't be the guy who eats 2 pies a week. That's like a lot. If I'm the guy who eats less than 2 whole pies a week, that's better. So I capped it at 15, and I'm pulling out my slice tracker right now. I keep track, for anybody listening, you can't see this, but I'm holding up I keep a spreadsheet of every time I go for pizza, how many slices I've had, and then I color code it so it's yellow if it's a place I've never been before, if I'm trying it for the first time.
Organized compared to most of us. I mean, I can't believe how well you have everything charted.
That's how I avoid burnout, Peter, is I keep myself committed. And if you see something, if you visualize it, if you keep an eye on the data, that's the only way to manage yourself. So I know that I've had 49 eating moments this year so far. And
the year's yet young.
yeah, where we are in the first week of February as we record this. But that's how I prevent myself from burning out, is just by keeping track. I got to tell you, there was only one day that I've ever felt like I was done with pizza for the day, and that was judging a competition, which you know how that goes.
Yeah. I found that to be exhausting, and to some extent it's fun at the beginning, and then after a while it stops being as much fun when you realize that, hey, this is hard work.
Yeah, but in a competition and in real life, pizza is constantly changing, and I think if the pizza world were the same this year as it were 20 years ago, then how could you not burn out? But because there's constant motion, it's interesting. We learn more. Taste and texture are not consistent all the time. I think if this was the pizza world of the 1980s, it would be easier to burn out.
Well, that's what I want to talk with you about today, is because, we've seen so much over the years, and every year when we would maybe all gather together in Las Vegas at the Pizza Expo or the other pizza gatherings throughout the country, there was always something new. There's something new popping up on the horizon. Let me say, I made a list myself. We've seen the emergence of the wood fire pizza, renaissance. We've seen Neapolitan pizzas kind of come on strong. Detroit style and pan pizzas, grandma pizzas, bar tavern pizzas. We've talked about here with all these things with you in the past. Roman style, and then in the last couple of years, sourdough pizza has come on strong. what's left? Can there possibly be something left on the horizon that we haven't seen? And if anyone would see it, would it be you?
I think there's infinite possibilities remaining. And I say that because we're talking in terms of these pizza styles that are regionally specific, Roman style, Detroit style. But the world doesn't work in a regional way anymore.
Mm.
You have regional specialties, but thanks to the phones that give us a portal into everybody's home, now we can see what's happening in Rio de Janeiro. We can see what's happening in Vienna. And if somebody's doing something interesting today, we will know about it today. And so that influence is consistent and constant. It's not like it used to be where you had to wait till you traveled to London to see the way somebody was doing something differently. Now the pizza quest doesn't require a plane ticket.
That's interesting. And we see things like, like for so long, Naples and Italy, where it's the epicenter and everything had to sort of like connect to that. Now there's other influencers. Japan has become huge, right? Didn't you just get a new a Japanese pizza restaurant in New York City that just recently opened?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Japan because this is the talk of the town this week. That's Pizzeria Studio Tamaki that opened, and Tamaki-san studied pizza making under another pizza maker who just announced that he's coming to New York to do a pop up as well. And so this Japanese they call it Tokyo Neapolitan because the original guy studied in Naples.
Yeah,
And I'll never forget the first time I was in Naples eating pizza. Every pizzeria had a Japanese apprentice. And now I
really.
see the spoils of that are this current thing where the, for whatever reason, person number one made changes to what they learned. They taught person number two, who taught person number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you see now there's a style that didn't really exist before.
Have you been to the new place?
I went a couple of nights ago to the new place.
Really? So what was it like?
It's fascinating because I didn't know anything about it going in except for what I saw from photos. And to be honest, I thought what I saw in those photos didn't look terribly appealing.
Uh-huh.
It's inconsistent. There's really dark spots, really light spots. There were some red flags that went off for me, but I love a red flag because I love when you taste it and you prove yourself wrong.
Right, right.
When I ate that pizza, they pinched the cornicione in Naples. If
That's what they
you
call it. Don't they call it like pinch pizza even? I think it's the
Yes.
term that's becoming a thing now.
In Naples, if you don't respect the cornicione, then you are violating the rules. So it's interesting to see this Japanese guy pinching the edge and creating these little twists, which in the oven, they don't become puffy and light and soft. They become sort of rigid and crispy, crunchy.
Crispy. Yeah.
So there's textural variation that you don't get on a Neapolitan pizza that you do get with this.
Yeah.
They're also, a lot of them are throwing salt into the oven. So the pizza bakes with the salt embedding itself into the underside of the crust. And it's it's a proprietary flour combination, which they won't tell you what it is, but it almost certainly is soft wheat with maybe some rice flour. It's got a
Yeah.
when you bite it, Peter, it starts to dissolve. You don't have to chew it very much.
Interesting.
It's lovely.
So there really is a textural difference that does differentiate it from their Italian sort of roots.
I think, yes. I think the distance between a Neapolitan pizza and a neo-Neapolitan pizza, like what you would get at a Roberta's or a Paulie G's,
Uh-huh.
that distance is similar. It is not as great as the distance from Neapolitan to Tokyo Neapolitan. Tokyo
Interesting.
Neapolitan is more different from Neapolitan than all these other Americanized Neapolitans.
So do you think that now that they're starting to come, that there will be an influence on American pizzerias? Will there be American folks now trying to do kind of like they did with ramen noodles a few years ago? Now suddenly these Jewish guys are opening ramen noodle places,
Yeah, shout out Ivan Orkin. Shout out Ivan.
Exactly. So do you see any of that kind of thing happening?
Absolutely. Nothing happens without resonating with somebody else. It
Yeah.
And I just can't stop thinking about how different it is now musically. You can hear a track somebody uploaded 3 hours ago. You can hear it right now, and
Uh-huh.
suddenly it inspires you, and you make some music. The same thing is happening with food. People are already, I'm positive. I already said the other night, I said, next time I make pizza at home, I'm going to throw some salt onto the floor of the oven,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is something, by the way, I have to be clear. I have seen that before.
Yeah.
I've seen it at New Park Pizza in Howard Beach, Queens.
Oh, okay. So they
But
yeah.
but a lot of people, that's not a talking point about that. It's a talking point about Pizzeria Studio Tamaki and this Japanese Tokyo Neapolitan style. So I guarantee you this will be influencing people immediately.
In terms of the pizza itself, w does it how does it taste? Is there anything you I get that textural thing that you're talking about in the crust. Is there anything else that differentiates it from, say, a classic Neapolitan pizza?
Well, I think you would appreciate this as a bread
As a
baker
crust
and
guy.
somebody. Yeah, exactly, which is he's buying the right tomato and barely seasoning it. He's buying the cheese that he thinks is the best in the local area where he opens a restaurant, but the dough is the main event.
Mhm, mhm.
So what he's choosing to do on top is it's good. I haven't had anything that was bad from him. I went there once, so please, I can't
Yeah.
really legally
Still
judge it on 3
kinda new.
slices.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything I'm saying is based on one experience, and it says see
Hey, but
like
you're lucky you got in. I mean, I think people are lining up and having a hard time even getting a table, you know?
yeah, well, this was like a press night that they had a bunch of us speak on a panel. So I
Nice.
was invited to be on the panel. Otherwise, I would not have been invited as a
Yeah.
guest.
Yeah.
I got in the other way. Uh, but it was, and then my wife actually made a reservation for the other one that's going to do the pop up. She said to me, she reads all the food trades.
You
I
mean a
don't.
totally different, name and brand? Not the Tamaki thing?
This guy's teacher is
Oh.
coming to do it.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
my wife said to me, "Oh, the other guy's coming now. We gotta go." And I said, I'll get to it later." And she said, "I'm booking it." So now we got that coming up.
Oh, well, that'll be very interesting. So really it's happening and it's about to kind of perhaps explode. Do you think it could be a national trend? Or big cities like LA, and I mean, it seems like there's certain places where now the people who are coming over, the original folks, are going to certain key cities, whether it's LA, San Francisco, New York,
Yeah.
Chicago.
Well, there's already a place I haven't been. I'm actually going next week to Pizzeria Say in Los Angeles, and from what I've read, that is this style. So it's kind of already starting to
He
happen.
was, yeah, I think he was the first one really that got a lot of press and notice for doing Japanese style.
Yes. Yeah. And that's William Jew, who I don't know if he learned from any of these guys in Tokyo or what, or maybe he was just inspired by a photo. I don't know. But I do see it catching on. But the bigger picture of this, Peter, is that I think the idea that there are no rules and that you
Yeah,
could kind of do whatever you want, that is what's going to catch on. Not necessarily throwing salt under the dough,
yeah,
but
yeah,
maybe somebody will be throwing black pepper under the dough. That's probably a bad idea, but you get the idea.
yeah,
I think, a friend of mine, Michael Ayub from Fornino in Brooklyn,
sure.
called me up after he ate it and he said, I think that there's some chili in the dough. There's something heating it up. And so I think that this idea that Neapolitan is flour, salt, water, yeast,
Yeah.
fermented properly, baked properly, and these Japanese apprentices have learned that and obey that. And this version is disobeying it willfully. And I think that's the cool thing about it, which is, well, why can't I put seasoning into the dough? Which
Well,
is
yeah.
nothing new,
Exactly,
honestly.
and you and I have had this conversation for years is like, that the parameter of you staying really close to traditional rules versus anything goes, and who's to say, what's true?
Yeah, and we can't forget that restaurants are businesses. They're not a canvas for your art unless somebody's buying the art. So
Right?
you open a Neapolitan pizzeria and you make it authentic with quotes around it if you want, because you know that there's a customer base that will buy it.
Right.
And the reason that you do something that's your own version is because you have confidence that the market will support something interesting. But if you go into, I don't know, Abilene, Texas, and you bring in something that is so beyond what anybody has seen without the stamp of approval of it being authentic Neapolitan pizza,
Yeah.
you're sort of you're putting a lot of faith into the local market. And if they
It
don't
it better
respond
be
to it,
yeah. It better be damn good, and so that people will come, or else you've created something that's very personal, but, you'll be out of business before you know it.
exactly. And that's why cities like New York and Chicago and Los Angeles and San Francisco have great restaurant scenes because you're able to take a chance because there's enough of a market there that as long as you find the niche that responds to it, you're good.
One of the questions I had on my list to ask you today, and I think you may have sort of answered it, is I was gonna say, has pizza as a category plateaued? But it sounds like it's not. It sounds like it's still the universe, the pizza universe is still expanding.
Yeah,
We're in the
absolutely.
in the Big Bang era.
Well, I think people have been bringing this up because they've seen the New York slice change recently. The New York slice for a long time was you stand up, you grab the slice, they reheated it, it's a little greasy, the oil runs down your arm, whatever.
Yeah,
You use the same flour, the same
yeah,
cheese, same tomato, and you like the one that you live near, and the other ones didn't matter to you.
right.
Now, there are all these places approaching it from a bread baker's perspective. I'm using a poolish and a sourdough starter. I'm doing long fermentation. There's a 20-minute video on Bon Appetit's website about how I make my dough. That is unheard of before. And so people have been asking me, "Oh, are they taking away from these existing places?" And my argument is that this is not a pie chart where there's a limited number of slices. This is a pie chart where the radius can grow. And if you can we're increasing the number of people and the number of times that those people are consuming pizza.
Yeah.
And I don't have stats and I would love to see actual data. I apologize. I don't have that.
It would be a cool stat to have,
But
yeah.
I bet I bet the data would reflect that especially in New York, people are not eating pizza 6 times a month. I bet it's 11 or 12
uh
because I bet that there's more pizza tourism happening. And I'm not just saying that they're going on a pizza tour. I'm saying that they're going to places on purpose. Hey, on Saturday, let's go to Ceres because I've heard that they're special.
That's hot. Yeah, that's a hot spot right now too. So yeah, it just seems like just when you think that there's nothing left that can, new, then somebody opens a place and there's a buzz and there's something about that place that has differentiated it from everyone else that came before.
That's the key word, Peter, is differentiated because they're not just saying, "Oh, I am now open and I do this same thing better." They're saying, "I am now open and I offer this completely different
Yeah.
experience."
Yeah.
So you got to have it.
And you got the other what you just said, the places that are doing the same thing as somebody else, but also succeeding because there's plenty of customer base for the familiar thing that whether it's a New York style or whatever, that where they're just kind of they're reinventing the wheel because there's customers for that as well.
Well, and New York is a funny example because there's customers for it everywhere. You could Pizza works in New York. You have to try really hard to make the mistake for it not to work.
Do you think there are other cities now around the country that are kind of following that New York pattern of just becoming more and more pizza centric and the same things that have happened in New York. I never on that scale probably, but the fact that it's just growing, it's just still happening, and more places are popping open, and there's just growing love for pizza, no matter what form it takes.
Without a doubt, and I think every major city, and not only major cities, but the major cities are seeing a lot of growth with these new, exciting, interesting pizzerias. But then you see all these non-major cities. There's I haven't been to it, but Lania in I forget where in Mississippi she is, but
Yeah, right. Yeah,
uh,
you can add her on. Yeah, yeah,
right. I mean, she's doing incredible stuff, bagels and pizza, and this is because good pizza can exist everywhere.
That's right. In fact, you and I both participated in a documentary movie that celebrated what's going on in Mississippi, in particular,
That's
with
right.
the margarita pizza, and
That's right.
and the question of the movie was trying to answer is how could margarita pizza show up in such an unusual place? What is it about this about pizza and margarita pizza that allows it to really exist anywhere?
Right. And I think that's because just like pizza in general, there are no rules. There's no guideline that really boxes it in too tight.
Yeah.
You could say that it's a bread, but even that is being challenged with gluten-free. There's certainly an argument to say that, well, is gluten-free dough, is that a bread at all?
Well, you did a series? What's it called? Is it dough? Was that what the series was
Oh,
called?
yes, we did really
And you
dough.
really dough, really, and you would argue with who was your co-host on that?
That was Mark Iacono
Mike
from
Iacono, and you would argue about whether he said these are the rules. This is how pizza should be, and you would take the other side of the argument and say, but pizza could be a lot more than that, and then you would kind of duke it out on the show. And you,
yeah, and I would always win.
you would represent well, you would always win, but at the cost of being totally insulted by Mark. I mean, it was a fun dynamic what you guys did.
I
I
pay that price every time I see him. But you're right. You're right. It's the argument is people like to defend pizza the way that they learned about it growing up. This is what I was taught pizza was, so this is the way it must be. And then the challenge is, well, wait a second. There are all these other perspectives that you don't have. It's the same kind of thing as, politics and religion and all these things is, you're raised with certain ideals and you think that, well, okay, well, therefore those must be the truth. And then it takes a minute to realize, well, other people have different truths than mine.
That's
And
right.
so gaining empathy for other people's perspective, it's the same thing in food. There's no such thing as oh, that's the wrong way to make pasta. There's
Mhm.
just, oh, that's a different way to make pasta that I happen to not like as much.
That's right. Well, the world is definitely, and I'm sure, social media and things like that have helped to kind of break down those barriers and expand that sort of parochial perspective into a global perspective.
Yeah, exactly. I hope.
Well, we could and now before we leave this particular subject, Pizza Expo is coming up in just a few weeks, in a month, I think, from about now, in Las Vegas, and that's a place where you not only play a major role, but that's where I would often go to see, okay, what's coming next. We could spot the emerging trends. I remember the first year I went to one of the expos, and Massimiliano was making his Roman pizzas, and people were going, "What the hell is this?" I never had this before. Unless they had been, to Rome or something. But the point being that that's where we see certain things happen. What do you foresee? Since you're usually pretty involved in the planning of those things, do you see anything coming this year that people should know about?
Well, first of all, I'm actually not at all involved in the planning. I know a lot of people think that I am, but
Yeah, because you're everywhere when you're there. You're all over the room.
well, I usually do one seminar and then I run a tour and then we have a slice out hunger booth. And then I'm also heavily involved in the judging and the competitions.
Yeah,
And this year, actually, very heavily involved with rewriting a lot of the rules and creating a judges certification program.
nice. Yeah, I
The
know you've been
first time
talking about that for a long time. Yeah.
it's happening.
All right.
It's not launched yet. It'll be launched probably in the next 2 weeks, but we've created a video that it's a video course. So judges will watch it, learn more about taste, texture, how to analyze, get a better perspective for other styles that they might not be familiar with. And then at the end, they take a test.
And there'll be
If
more
they pass the test,
consistency in the judging as a result of that, because everybody will have
precisely,
criteria by which the benchmark that they can judge it against.
exactly the same information. So
Uh,
this year is going to be big for that. And it's also going to be big for, I think we're going to just continue to see interest in flour and flour products that are not the same old blends. I think deep interest in fermentation,
uh-huh.
understanding that. So a lot of demos and seminars will have to do with that, and a deep interest in regional styles to have an understanding of what's out there, as we're just talking about with this Tokyo Neapolitan.
What would the Tokyo pizza, it won't have its own category. What category would it fall in if somebody wanted to enter this year?
If somebody
Neapolitan?
if somebody entered with that style, it would fall under the traditional or non-traditional categories. But the traditional category is a sauce, a cheese, and up to 2 toppings from a certain list.
Yeah.
That's probably where I would put it. If you enter it in a Neapolitan, it will not do well. Tokyo
Yeah.
Neapolitan is not Neapolitan.
Yeah, because they kind of stick to the traditional rules on that.
And this is the tricky part about a competition is you have to create divisions because the judge can't judge a Sicilian pizza up against a Neapolitan pizza.
Right.
They have different criteria. It's hard. You can't say this one is better executed than this one. So that's really tough. It has to be, if you were judging it just on its own merits of freestyle competition, which is essentially what non-traditional is, freestyle, that's where the best executed flavor, texture, taste, that would win.
Well, it'll be interesting, because I think this idea of introducing rice flour, which I think we all think maybe this one of the secret ingredients to the Tokyo style, is it's not a new idea. The Vietnamese have been putting it in their banh mi sandwich rolls and things like that, but it does add something. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the rice flour and maybe soy flour and things like that are used in the what are the pinza pizzas that are coming out of
Both of
Italy, right?
those.
So so it's not actually, you know, totally Japanese. I mean, we've seen sort of this concept applied, but it does expand your sense of what could, going back to what we were saying about what's is it dough or not dough, is what's possible and what's allowable.
It's a good reminder that although something might be new to you, that does not mean that it's new to everybody.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to hear. Sometimes I hear people on social media say, "I'm the first to do this. I invented this," and it's pretty easy to poke holes in that most of the time because all you got to do is find one example of somebody who, oh well, somebody actually was throwing salt on that oven before. Eh, It's not to deflate their balloon. It's to say we haven't. Nobody's inventing
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
We're all learning from what came before us, and it's your innovative way of using it. So using rice flour to stretch your pizza, using it as your bench flour, that's something I've been seeing a little bit
Yeah.
more lately. Rice flour in the dough, obviously nothing new, but for a Neapolitan pizza oriented pizza to do that it's definitely weird. And you have to do it understanding what you want to get out of it.
Well, I think if I'm not mistaken, there's a type of bread that's like a ciabatta bread. It comes out of Spain, the pan de cristal. It's like it's sometimes called glass bread because it has this glass like shattering crust, but real open crumb, soft interior, and it's used in a lot in these Peruvian sandwiches made on this pan de cristal bread. And if I'm not mistaken, and again, I haven't uh, dove all the way deep into how it's made, but I think rice flour is one of the secret ingredients in making that different from, say, a ciabatta bread. And who came up with that? I mean, it's associated right now with Spain, maybe Portugal, but we don't even know if that's where they got the idea. But e- everybody's learning from everybody else, and I think that's the key of what you were just saying, is that uh, part of the excitement of whether you're in the bread world or the pizza world or the food world in general is that there's all these things that are developed one place that can be applied to your particular area of expertise and maybe take you to another level.
Absolutely. As you're explaining that pan de cristal, I'm thinking, well, that's a great texture. I look for that texture. So what can I learn from that recipe, which I was just looking up on my phone? What can I learn from that recipe to apply to pizza making? That's
Pizza,
what,
yeah,
isn't that what all the best pizza makers are doing
that's right.
is being open to new ideas.
And then you've got like really innovative guys like, Wiley, the Frame, or people like that who made their bones, breaking through these barriers and innovating. It's all about innovation. But in the end, and this is the part I think we always end up coming back to, this is that the bottom line is it's really all about flavor. And remember we talked about the rules of pizza, and that my thing was always the flavor rule
Flavor
is
rule.
the rule that trumps all the other rules, and that's, I think, kind of where all this is leading. If something is making a difference and getting buzz, and if it's not just a little blip on the screen that's going to go away after, the fad ends, but they're onto something. It's because they've done something to deliver a flavor experience that is exciting people and delighting people.
Absolutely.
And
There's
it sounds like
really no rules.
that you had a little bit of that experience when you went to the Tokyo uh, pizzeria. What is it? Studio Tamaki?
Yeah.
Pizzeria Studio Tamaki. Maybe the beginning of of a big thing. Remember a few years ago when all the Neapolitan pizzerias exploded after Keste and a few others. Then they brought Don. The sort of the mentor of
Don
Roberto
Antonio.
Don Antonio to New York. I mean, and all of a sudden there's like all these pizzerias and the fried pizza does and things like that. And it just was like a little burst of excitement and multiple locations of places doing that. Sounds like that's going to happen with the Japanese style right now. Until we taken it as far as it can go, and then somebody else is going to come around with something else. Um, and of course, you answered the question of, is there any end in sight in terms of innovation? And it seems like we haven't hit that wall yet, if I'm hearing you correctly.
I think we're far from it.
So let me just take a quick little left turn then. Is what, besides pizza, what are your favorite, like other foods, that, other quests of food that you're on that kind of light a passion and fire inside of you? Or are you still just totally locked in on pizza?
Well, I'm locked in on pizza because it's the thing I understand the most, and I don't have a large enough attention span to dig that deep in other things, but I am really intrigued by coffee.
Ah,
I haven't let myself go down the path the way that I have with pizza because I fear that path. But I really like the idea of understanding the transformation. I mean, I've learned so much from you about bread is transformation from
mhm,
living to dead
mhm.
to living
Yeah,
again. It's this
yeah,
going back and forth between the planes of existence and coffee, this bean that
yes.
gets harvested, roasted,
And
ground.
and even fermented, and, that's where the transformation really, really happens magically is through fermentation and stuff.
Yeah.
Cocoa, chocolate, cocoa beans, same thing, they're very parallel to coffee.
It's fascinating. I can't become a coffee guy who's got a big setup that takes up half a room,
Yeah,
but I am intrigued by that, and as a coffee consumer, I really love going to a place and being excited by what it is that I'm having from it.
interesting. One of the things that I've spotted, we've talked about it in some recent episodes here on Pizza Quest, is, and maybe you've seen this, there's a pizzeria here in Charlotte called Bird Pizzeria, that we've had the owners of that on. They make a really good, what they call East Coast style, but it's their own version of an East Coast style pizza, but it's theirs, and it's not like anyone else's. But what they're really getting buzz for is their Caesar salad, and there's been this like viral thing of people all over the world, even in Australia and all over, trying to uh, create a pizza that is because they're modeled on the Caesar salad that they do at Bird. And I just had dinner there again recently, and I love I'm a Caesar salad fan. If I had a second food, that I would say besides bread and pizza, what's the thing that I love the most? My single favorite food is a good Caesar salad, and they've created their own original Caesar salad. And you'll see when you start to search it, you'll see videos of it. It looks like a giant football. It's on an oval plate, covered with toasted herb breadcrumbs, and it's not like any other Caesar salad, but the point is that since they got a lot of buzz for it, I've noticed that a number of the pizzerias in my area in Charlotte, they're all starting to brag about their Caesar salad, and which doesn't surprise me because it's one of the greatest foods in the world, in my opinion. And so I think it's kind of an example of how maybe even in the pizza world, there's ways to sort of differentiate yourself. You could have a good pizza but isn't necessarily that different from everyone else's, but you could have something else on the menu that also creates a buzz that people come in for in addition to the pizza. And so you don't go to Bird Pizza. They have two salads. They have a regular house salad and the Caesar that people go for either one. They're both equally good, but the Caesar's the one that really got traction. And now you can't go there without at least, ordering one of those Caesar salads for the table. And because then you feel like you're missing out if you don't get it,
Wow. I'm looking at it right now.
I'm wondering if you're going
Wow.
to if you're seeing any of that in your travels, both locally and everywhere else that you go.
You know what? I definitely am. You mean just about having an anchor item that's not pizza that helps
Yeah,
attract people?
yeah,
Uh, a lot of places are doing pizza oven baked chocolate chip cookie. They're doing bagel as a early day part.
yeah. We
Except,
saw that bagel thing coming in a few years ago with the people, even Tony Ginny and people like that getting
oh
into
yeah,
the bagel world. Yeah,
got his own bagel place. And then with salads, that's definitely something that I see happening in pizzerias. Not to the extent that I just looked at for Bernard, but
well, the next time you come
other.
to Charlotte, we'll go over there and I'll give you the Caesar salad experience.
I would love to. That sounds great. But you know what else? I'm just thinking through other dishes. Sardine and anchovies.
Yeah, sardines. I get the sense that sardines are gonna have a day again.
Like we're in a tinned fish moment
That's right. That's right.
where you can go to a restaurant and get a tinned fish dish where it's really the tin in front of you and a loaf of
That's
bread.
right.
And
Yeah,
that's the
who
dish.
would have expected that to, happen and
Well,
become a thing?
I paid $15 for a tin of fish recently where it's like because it's really fancy label and
Isn't
it's
it? I'll tell you, I wouldn't have predicted that, 5 years ago, but now it's definitely happening.
yeah, that's absolutely a big attraction. Tin fish. Now I'm thinking through yesterday. Yesterday I went to I don't know 8 or 9 pizzerias, and that's the small plates in general, like a white bean dish,
Yeah,
an anchovy dish.
yeah.
Last night I had a pecorino flight, Tre pecorini, 3 different pecorinos on a plate with some really nice olive oil and a couple
Wow,
slices of bread.
wow. That's kinda cool. That sounds like something Nancy Silverton would do or something like that.
Yeah, well, because she's so interested in
Cheese.
simplicity and
Yeah,
elegance.
yeah, yeah,
And when you put things on a plate, like, it's really curation. It's not, "Oh, this is a pretty crappy cheese plate." It's "Oh, these are 3 thoughtfully selected cheeses that are paired together for a reason to take you on a journey."
yeah,
Restaurants
yeah.
should never if a restaurant ever just becomes about the food on the plate and nothing else, then that's a failed restaurant, isn't it?
Well, but it takes a certain I think that's a real chef-driven kind of, you know, style of pizza as opposed to, quote, we think of as a pizzeria restaurant that's all about, pizza pretty much. But more and more restaurants are opening up that pizza is part of this bigger picture
Yes.
that you're describing. We've seen it in San Francisco, certainly has Delfina's, for instance, has always been a place like that, that you go there as much for the side dishes as you go for the pizza. And if I'm not mistaken, Delfina's also is one of the first places I recall that was really big on the pinch style dough, and that it had
Yes.
nothing to do with Japanese, but they were doing a pinch dough 20 years
You're
ago.
you're right, and that's how they would get those big remember they have those big bubbles, those big
Yeah,
burnt bubbles.
yeah, and kind of almost like a pie dough kind of, look to the edging of, to the so again, sometimes it takes a while for something to really catch on, or it takes it to come in from, from f not you never respect it when it's local, you respect it when it comes in from across the ocean, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden everybody wants to do it.
It's you know what? You throw a little pebble into a lake, and somebody on the other side of the lake is not gonna feel the ripple.
That's right.
You throw a big boulder in the center,
Yeah.
and you get the media, the publicist of, the guy from Tokyo, and then suddenly everybody hears about it.
Well, it's always fun to talk with you about these things because, again, it never gets old, and it's always something new happening, and I like to play the game of like saying, how far ahead can we see something on an outer wave that hasn't hit the shore yet, and kind of almost predict when it's going to hit the shore, and so these are a couple things. Sourdough again. We remember when we started talking about sourdough and a few people doing it, and now it feels like almost everybody's almost has to do it if they're gonna, it's like the thing that part of your bona fides is being able to do a sourdough pizza now.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know again if that's going to continue to grow as a trend. I think it will. I think that's one that has an unlimited growth potential, because again, it delivers on the flavor promise, and it gets you to another level. Now, a couple final things before we get you out of here. Do you have any classes coming up at Pizza University? Are you still teaching there?
Yeah, I am teaching there. I don't know when the next class is. I've scheduled it yet, but keep
I'm
an
going
eye
up in
out.
May, just so you know. I got one going in May.
Of your
Going to be
sourdough
doing a
class?
sourdough class, yeah, in May. Uh,
Awesome.
so even though it's self-serving for me to say sourdough's coming on big, but I really believe it is because I've we've been making sourdough bread for a long time and that's been coming, but I just think because more and more pizzeria operators want to be able to add that to their repertoire,
Mhm.
there's opportunity to teach that and teach the principles of how to do sourdough fermentation and stuff. So we're offering it, once this year, and we'll see who comes. I have no idea how many people are going to sign up for it. Pizza University, it's a very cool place. If you're, if you haven't been there and you're listening, just go to their website, pizzauniversity.com and
.org. .org.
.org. Thank you. And look for some of the classes, and maybe if yours is on the schedule, we can find out when you'll be there again. But you're usually there at least once or twice a year. Um, and so that's, there's always something new going on. If last thing, slice out hunger. That's one of the real gifts of the world that you've created. Can you tell us where things are at with slice out and what's happening there?
Yeah, so Slice Out Hunger, for anybody who hasn't heard of this, it's a nonprofit that we've been running now for 10 years. We're in our 11th year, and our mission is to use the power of pizza to support people facing food insecurity all around the United States. And we do it through a network of almost 800 pizza partners. And we do it through different activations and fundraising activities and all kinds of stuff, events. We've got this big campaign coming up. As you and I talk, it's early February. We're just a couple of days in front of National Pizza Day on February 9th. So we have a big campaign that runs the 9th through the 15th of February, where we're having pizzerias deliver 300 pizzerias are delivering pizza to shelters and soup kitchens all over the country that week to honor National Pizza Day. And then we get into events at Pizza Expo, or we do a tailgate event, and then we have an event in Brooklyn Bridge Park in May. And then at the end of the year in October, we've got a big event in New York City, Lower Manhattan. So we are busy all the time.
For people who have an interest in wanting to tap into that part of your work, it's a separate website, a Slice Out Hunger website for people to go to?
Yes, sliceouthunger.org. It's a
.org.
completely separate organization from Pizza Tours. It's its own 501c3 operating in all 50 states. And if anybody's interested in volunteering, please go to sliceouthunger.org and click on the get involved or the volunteer button.
Great. And if people are coming to New York and want to experience one of your tours, one of your, pizza tours, what's the best way for them to find out, how to get on one of those?
Yeah, we've got a full schedule of public tours at scottspizzatours.com. And we also do private tours all the time. So if you don't find a public tour on the schedule, just you can fill out a little form and we get back to you right away and we do a private.
And when you do a private tour, can you customize those? If someone says, "Look, I really want to focus on a particular style. Can you take me to the best, Sicilian or the best, the new Japanese? Take me to all the good Japanese places or whatever."
Yeah.
Can you customize for them?
We do. That's kind of the whole focus. We do a lot of those tours for people in the pizza industry who say, I really want to get a better understanding of fermentation techniques. Let's go to places that do alternate fermentation. Instead of doing direct, let's go to two-stage fermentation places all day long, or
Wow.
topping combinations that are interesting, or, like I want to get an understanding of how tomato is used differently at different places. So we do that.
Uh, Well, it never gets old, Scott, talking with you. There's always something new, of course, we always love your enthusiasm for it and the joy that you bring to it. I think that's the most infectious part of your work is that you spark joy in everybody about this because you are joyfully doing it. So thank you for all of
It
that.
is my greatest joy, and it's always a great joy to talk to you, Peter. Thank you again for having me.
All right, and thank all of you for joining us on Pizza Quest. Tune in again. We'll have a new episode every week, and we'll get Scott back here when there's another new thing, the latest new thing, that's coming. But thanks again. Oh, I didn't ask you this. Any new exciting pizza boxes show up on your front door? Are you seeing anything nice in design there?
I've just got a whole batch of them from Jim Serpico on Long Island. He's got a thing called Serpico Bread Company. I got some great boxes from Canada when I was there recently from the Pizza Company, the big national chain.
Wow.
Just they had a whole series of pizza boxes that honored the hockey team of each province. and those boxes become little hockey.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Or a court? Is it a hockey court? Oh my
A
God.
hockey rink.
Rink. Thank you. A hockey rink. And with the goals are the little pizza props, the things that hold the pizza box up and prevent it from crushing the pizza.
Yeah, yeah.
Compostable goals. And you
Wow.
stick it in the box,
Cool.
play a little hockey game.
So your collection continues to grow.
2,049 unique, clean pizza boxes. So wait, I didn't count these. 2,050.
53 up to 54. It will continue to grow as your universe continues to expand. Scott Wiener, thank you again for being on Pizza Quest, and thank all of you for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode.